primaries in 5 states last night, producing some interesting outcomes. In Maine, voters refused to delay ranked choice voting, the controversial system used there. Voters in November will get to rank candidates in order of preference instead of just choosing one. Plus, a bit of an upset in South Carolina, where incumbent Congressman Mark Sanford lost his primary hours after President Trump tweeted support for his GOP challenger, Katie Arrington. Josh Holmes, is a former chief of staff to Mitch McConnell, and Adrienne Elrod is former director of strategic communications for Hillary Clinton. Good to have you both here.
Thanks,
Josh, tell me a little bit about what you think of this, though. All of that news is happening, and this poll out today from Suffolk University in the Ohio Senate race with Sherrod Brown, the incumbent senator, at 53.4%. Jim Renacci, the challenger, he's a House member right now, only at 36.6%. One of the things that Renacci had told Mitch McConnell, and Mitch McConnell had agreed, is that Ohio could be an actual Republican pickup. How's that looking right now?
Well, look, it's a competitive state. It's always been a competitive state. I think we're really at the nascent stage of the Senate race in Ohio. We're just through the primaries. We've gotten to a point where that electorate basically hasn't redefined itself. And I think when you see Trump voters come home and support the Republican ticket, that's going to tighten up pretty considerably from where it's currently at.
And Adrienne, when you look at these primary results last night, so for example, Katie Arrington winning against Mark Sanford in that primary, because she said he was not supportive enough of President Trump. Listen to Senator Bob Corker on what he said about Republican senators being kind of scared of the president.
The United States Senate right now, on June the 12th, is becoming a body where, well, we'll do what we can do, but my gosh, if the president gets upset with us, then we might not be in the majority. And so let's don't do anything that might upset the president.
Adrienne, I feel like this is somewhat similar to if you go back to 2010 and thinking about Democrats who were wary of, upsetting the popular president at that time, Barack Obama.
Yeah, well, I think what you're also seeing here is that there's simply not room for moderate Republicans in the Republican Party. I mean, look at Mark Sanford last night in South Carolina, somebody who has been, who has governed moderately, but has also spoken out against President Trump. You are seeing more moderate Republicans who are losing their primaries to very conservative Republicans who Trump endorses. It's not always happening, but it's been happening quite a bit. So I think the Republican Party has a lot of soul searching to decide, are we going to be the party of Trump, or are we going to actually be able to govern moderately and represent moderate Republicans?
Josh, I mean, you think that this is a no-brainer, right? The president is super popular with the Republican Party, so this is the way it's going to be. And could you also say that, moderate Democrats are kind of an endangered species as well?
Yeah, well, look, Mark Sanford's no moderate, right? I mean, he's an extremely conservative congressman. He was an extremely conservative governor from South Carolina. I think the problem is that voters just simply don't have any patience for those who make an anti-Trump sort of their identity. They want Republicans to pick up their lunch pail and go to work and try to get this agenda done. Of course, Sanford spent an inordinate amount of time criticizing the president, and I just don't think that voters have any patience for that at this point.
Adrienne, let me also ask you about something I know that Democrats are proud of. Republicans have some numbers that they can point to, but the number of women candidates who are running for the as a part of the Democratic Party, they're winning in big time. Cook Political Reports' David Wasserman tweeted this: remarkable. After tonight, Dems have nominated women in 73 out of 150, that's 49%, of House races, excluding Dem incumbents. On the Republican side, it's about 16%, 18 out of 112. You're thinking, I mean, I'm assuming I can imagine why you think this is happening. Do you think that those women will then ultimately win in the general election as well?
Yeah, I do, Dana, and thank you for letting me talk about my very favorite topic to talk about, which is all the women who are winning at record amounts in the Democratic Party. If a woman is running against a man or several men in a primary on the Democratic Party side, the chances of her winning are something, I think, around 90–92% at this stage of the cycle. Emily's List, for example, one of the primary organizations that helps recruit women to run for higher office, 36,000 women have contacted Emily's List this cycle with interest in running for office, compared to, I think, something like 950 in 2016. So it just shows that women are fired up. They want to take back their country. They realize the only way that we can really have an impact is to get involved. And a lot of them are getting involved by running for Congress or running for any office. And it's really making a huge difference.
Josh, the Republican Party has actually, I had Steve Stivers on. He's the NRCC chairman this year. They do have better numbers than they've had in the past. Your thoughts?
Well, look, I can name 2 more women candidates that are going to be winning in 2018. If you look at Arizona with Martha McSally, a great candidate for Senate down there, she's definitely going to win, and Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee. So, I agree with Adrienne. It's going to be a great year for women. It's not just going to be a great year for liberal women. It's going to be a great year for women across the border, and I think Republicans are excited about that, too.
Let me ask you one last question. I'll just give you a chance each. Paul Ryan announced that next week there's going to be votes on 2 immigration bills dealing with DACA, the Dreamers, and border security. And this is McClatchy is reporting that President Trump is looking to erect tent cities at military bases in 3 Texas cities to house unaccompanied children separated from their parents as they attempt to cross the border illegally. And Josh, I bring that up because I do think that because that issue is getting a lot of attention, people feel very strongly about it, and there's points on both sides. But is that going to fuel a lot more interest in these immigration bills next week?
Well, I certainly hope so. And, I think what Speaker Ryan is trying to do is get to an outcome here. And what we've seen too much of in the last couple of years, and last year in particular, is particularly on the Democratic side, they want the issue, they don't want it resolved. And when President Trump came out and made some accommodations to say, we'll go ahead and do DACA if we can also build the wall, have some border security, and do some modest reframing of chain migration, Democrats said no. And so, my hope is that we can get beyond that sort of partisan corners outlook of this and actually get to a solution here.
Adrienne, do you think if next week, if the legislation looks like something that could help solve the problem but maybe take away the political tool that the Democrats would want to use in the fall, that would be worth it?
Look, I'm going to respectfully disagree with my friend Josh here. Democrats have made it very clear from the very beginning of this debate that we will come to the table, we will negotiate on this. You actually just said, Josh, that we would allow for some sort of border security funding, some sort of funding for the wall in order to create a path of citizenship for Dreamers. So, the real loser here are the Dreamers, the people who are living in limbo in this country, who don't know if they're going to be deported or not. I do hope that Democrats and Republicans can come together and find a solution, but Democrats have made it very clear all along that we're willing to play ball. We want to find a solution to this issue.
Let's just forget Democrats shut down the government over this issue back in February, though. So,
That's true. Well, they're going to have a chance
to get a compromise.
They're going to have a chance to vote on it next week in the House, but then we're going to have you come back, Josh, and tell us about what Mitch McConnell plans to do with that in the Senate, which might be nothing. All right. Josh Holmes and Adrienne Elrod, thank you for being here.
Thank you.